Sometimes the problem in a relationship isn't what your partner does to you. It's what slowly stops happening. The little things, the attention, the curiosity about your day, the simple act of care. It's a silence that grows where connection used to be. And that silence has a name. It's the quiet shift from emotional distance to emotional neglect. How does this happen? How does a relationship that once felt so alive become a space of quiet emptiness, often without either person intending for it to? It's not about big, dramatic fights or overt cruelty. It's a much more subtle, creeping process. Emotional neglect rarely begins with a malicious act. It starts with absence. It starts with one or both partners being distracted by work, by stress, by life itself. The check-in texts stop. The deep conversations about hopes and fears are replaced by logistics about groceries and bills. The shared laughter becomes a memory instead of a daily occurrence. Slowly, this new level of disconnection becomes normalized. It becomes the new baseline. You might tell yourself, this is just what long-term relationships are like. Or, we're just busy right now. You adapt to the quiet. You stop expecting more. You start to forget what it felt like to be truly seen and heard. This isn't about one person being a villain. It's about two people slowly, unconsciously, letting the emotional thread that connects them fray. It's the normalization of being emotionally alone, together. The danger isn't in the quiet itself, but in how comfortable we can become living within it, forgetting the vibrant connection we once had and deserve. So, what does this actually look and feel like? Let's explore some of the common signs that emotional distance might be hardening into neglect. One of the most powerful feelings is that of being invisible. You're physically there, but you feel like your partner looks right through you. You share something important about your day, and you get a distracted nod or a simple while they scroll on their phone. It's not that they're being mean, it's that you don't feel like you truly have their attention. You feel like a ghost in your own home. Another sign is when your emotional needs are consistently minimized or dismissed. You try to express that you're feeling lonely or sad, and the response is a practical solution, not an emotional one. For example, you say, "I've been feeling really disconnected from you lately," and the reply is, "Well, we just spent the whole weekend together." They're responding to the logic, not the feeling. They aren't hearing the ache in your voice. They're just hearing the words. Your need for comfort, reassurance, or empathy goes unmet, leaving you feeling like your emotions are an inconvenience or an overreaction. Conversations also change. They become almost entirely transactional. You talk about who's picking up the kids, what's for dinner, or when the car needs to be serviced. The texture of your communication becomes flat. There's no room for vulnerability, for dreaming together, or for just being silly. The playful, intimate language that once defined your bond seems to have vanished. You're great at managing a household together, but you've stopped tending to the relationship itself. And this leads to a profound sense of loneliness. You can be in the same room, even sitting on the same couch, but feel a million miles apart. The physical proximity without emotional closeness can feel even more isolating than being completely alone. You are together, but you are not connected. It's a feeling of deep, quiet solitude right in the heart of what should be your safest space. Why does something so painful often go unnoticed for so long, sometimes for years? There are powerful psychological reasons for this. First, our brains are wired for survival and adaptation. When a relationship becomes emotionally sparse, we go into a kind of survival mode. We learn to get by on less. We stop asking for what we need because we've learned it won't be given. And it hurts less to not ask than to be rejected. We adapt to the emotional famine, convincing ourselves we're not that hungry to begin with. Routine is another powerful force. Life is busy. We get caught up in the day-to-day grind of work, family, and obligations. The relationship runs on autopilot. The lack of connection becomes just another part of the routine, like brushing your teeth or commuting to work. It is easy to miss the slow erosion of intimacy when you're just trying to get through the week. The very structure of modern life can help camouflage emotional neglect. There's also a deep-seated fear of conflict. Bringing up a feeling of neglect is incredibly vulnerable. What if your partner gets defensive? What if they accuse you of being needy? What if it starts a fight that you don't have the energy for? Or worse, what if you admit the problem out loud and realize it can't be fixed? For many, the quiet pain of neglect feels safer than the potential storm of confrontation. And finally, many of us internalize the belief that this is just what relationships become over time. We see it in our parents, in our friends' relationships, or in media. We lower our expectations and accept a state of polite, functional distance as the norm. We tell ourselves that asking for more passion, more attention, more emotional depth is unrealistic or childish. So we stay quiet, believing this is simply the price of a long-term partnership. This quiet erosion of connection has a profound emotional impact. It chips away at your sense of self-worth. When your feelings are consistently ignored or minimized, you start to believe they don't matter. You begin to question yourself. Am I asking for too much? Am I too sensitive? Am I the problem? You start to feel that you are not worthy of attention and care, and this feeling can seep into every other area of your life. This leads to a deep, pervasive loneliness that is unique to being in a disconnected relationship. It's the ache of knowing the one person you want to connect with most is right there, yet unreachable. This loneliness can make you feel profoundly isolated, even when surrounded by people. You're carrying a silent sadness that no one else can see. To cope with this pain, many people begin to shut down emotionally. It's a self-protective mechanism. If you don't allow yourself to feel the need for connection, then the lack of it won't hurt as much. You become more reserved, more guarded. You stop trying to reach out. This emotional shutdown can be mistaken for strength or independence, but it's often a sign of deep, unexpressed hurt. And beneath that shutdown, a quiet resentment can begin to build. It's not loud or angry, but a slow-burning frustration. It's resentment for all the unheard pleas, the unmet needs, and the silent nights. This resentment can slowly poison what's left of the relationship, making true reconnection feel almost impossible. If this feels familiar, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for connection. The need to be seen, heard, and valued by the person you love is not a sign of weakness. It's a fundamental human need. Recognizing the silence in your relationship isn't an accusation. It's an observation. It is the first step toward understanding what has been lost and what you might want to reclaim. The goal here is not to react in anger or to place blame. The goal is to reflect, to sit with this feeling, honor it, and understand that your need for emotional intimacy is valid. Take a moment to think about what connection truly means to you. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? That is your truth, and it matters. MindSnap is your safe space. You don't have to carry emotional silence alone. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this resonated, please consider subscribing for more content on emotional well-being. Take care of yourself.